welcome back to the Give and Go. I'm your coach Reynoso here with my boy
Soltero. What's up, y'all?
Premier League recap. Subscribe to the channel. Give us a like right now if you watch any of these Premier League matches because we had another stacked day.
Yep.
Let's start with the biggest headline for me, the biggest match of this day. Bournemouth going up against Liverpool, baby. Liverpool coming into this game as the league leaders facing off against arguably the most informed team in all of England. A Bournemouth side that had hosted Arsenal, that had hosted Manchester City, won both games, and just defeated Nottingham Forest 5-0, facing off against the league leaders Liverpool, who come into their homes and defeat them 2-0.
Yeah. It's crazy because Bournemouth have been building up to maybe having a chance to beat Liverpool. You just kind of described it, but within the past month, they beat Newcastle, who are on a 10-game winning streak, and they just beat Nottingham 5-0 a week ago. And then they lose to Liverpool 2-0. And for me, this just solidifies what we've been saying for the last 4 to 5 months. Liverpool are inevitable, they are immovable, and they are unbeatable.
I can't wipe the smile off my face. I can't wipe it off. What a performance from Liverpool once again in a game where, I mean, Bournemouth came to play, man. They really did. Semenyo hit the post early on in the match in what would have been a golazo inside the box. Tavernier hit the post at one point.
Yeah.
Kluivert had a wide open net, one of the most informed players in all of the Premier League. But still, Liverpool leaves this match without a goal conceded and 2 goals in this game. Starting off with the penalty call that Gakpo got. What did you think about that penalty call?
It is the rightful call. It's soft, man, but you look at it, he runs right into Gakpo's legs. He really does. Obviously, there's no intention to even go for the body. He's trying to get on the near side of the goalpost between him and Gakpo, but in doing so, he does trip Gakpo. Therefore, Gakpo's impeded. It's a penalty, man. It's a pen.
It's a pen, and Salah steps up and just laces it. Beautiful finish to make it 1-0. And afterwards, we saw Salah close the game out with just a wonderful, wonderful finish into the top left corner on that right side. Just
what a goal.
Past Kirkes, past Arrizabalaga. What an insane place goal to get himself a brace in this game and become, I believe now, the 6th all-time leading goal scorer in Premier League history. He surpasses the great Frank Lampard with this brace.
Yeah, and he's had 5 seasons now in the Prem with 20 or more goals.
Ridiculous,
I think only 5 other Premier League players have done that. So he's really in rare territory. But, I mean, it's not surprising, but we're talking about one of the best wingers ever.
And we say this every week, but why is nothing signed yet, bro? Why is nothing signed? He could easily go 3 more seasons.
Oh, yeah.
And probably producing the same type of rate of goals and assists, man. It's ridiculous. I can't believe the numbers he's putting up and the fact that pen hasn't been put to paper yet. I can't believe that aspect. But for as good as Mohamed Salah was today, I was curious to know, who do you have as the man of the match? Is it Mo Salah getting the brace, or is it one of our midfielders who stepped off? That Gravenberch was ridiculous today.
Yeah.
But then the classic Virgil van Dijk stepping up as always, even making runs up top at one point, no look pass at one point, having himself a game. Who was the man of the match for you in this game?
No, it's got to be Salah. It really does. At the end of the day, Liverpool actually kind of struggled for 20, 30, maybe even 40 minutes of this match. I thought Bournemouth had the better second half, yet they still were the ones who conceded the goal. And the only reason is because of the class of Mohamed Salah. Honestly, if Salah wasn't in this match for Liverpool, I think we would have seen a nail-biting game, 0-0, going down to the wire. But Salah ends up being the difference here. And that's what makes Liverpool truly unbeatable, because you have players stepping up big time defensively. Gravenberch, Alisson today as well.
Yes, sir.
But then you have Salah up top. And Luis Diaz was a little off today. Gakpo wasn't his usual self, but still deadly. But it's Salah who gets the goals. And again, that second goal is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Kirkes barely gives him a moment. And in that moment, he kills you. Mohamed Salah is the difference today, bro.
Yeah, and I think it's a theme that we've seen all season long with Liverpool specifically in the way that they get these results. Clinicality. Because it really does come down to a game of inches that Liverpool's always able to get the advantage in. I mean, we're talking about two shots that hit the post for Bournemouth, man. And for as harsh as this sounds, they got to be more clinical. They got to be more clinical. Despite those opportunities, Kluivert with the wide open net, you got to score that to make it 1-1. You have to.
That moment was so big, bro.
Yeah.
He choked.
I think he choked because you saw a slight hesitation when the ball was coming at him.
Yeah.
You saw it. And also even moments like there was a goal that they had scored in the first half where Milos Kerkez got called just slightly offside. Game of inches. If he's just a little bit more sharp there, who knows if he remains onside and he's able to make the pass. It's just moments like that where I'm like, that's the difference ultimately between an on-form team like Bournemouth still losing and unable to score against Liverpool in this game. That's the difference that ultimately lends to Liverpool being the best team in the league.
So well said. And if you're Bournemouth, you're probably just punching the air right now, man, because they had so many opportunities. Yeah. And I love the way they started this game. In the first 5 seconds, Semenyo just immediately showing his intention to hurt Liverpool. And they tried, man. Yeah. They really tried. So I can't really knock Bournemouth in this match other than the fact that they weren't clinical. That's pretty much the only thing I can say, because outside of that, they played a near perfect game. I can't really criticize Bournemouth. They had a great match. And again, that Clivert moment, I couldn't believe it because he's had 5 goals in the last, 3 matches. Yeah. And if you wanted a chance, an opportunity to fall to any Bournemouth player, you want it to fall to Justin Clivert. I was in shock that he missed that shot. But yeah, what are you going to do?
What are you going to do, man? What are you going to do? Is this Liverpool's most impressive away win this year in the Prem?
I mean, all things considered, it has to be. Mm-hmm. Bournemouth are so in form. I actually thought they might have a chance to beat Liverpool today, but it just didn't happen. Liverpool still established themselves and send yet another message to the rest of the Premier League that we're going to win this shit.
Yeah. Moving on, we had some crazy results today, especially in the relegation battle, but we're gonna get to that in a second. I want to go up to Nottingham Forest. Put 7 past Brighton a week after receiving 5 goals upon them by Bournemouth. They put up 7. Chris Wood, hat-trick of goals. Anthony Elanga, hat-trick of assists at home. Arguably the most entertaining game for Nottingham Forest of all time because this was just nonstop goals galore for them, and they completely trash and throw away a Brighton side that did not show up today.
Oh, God. Brighton were awful. Mm-hmm. Looking like a relegation championship side today, bro. It was bad. Tariq Lamptey was horrendous in that fullback position. One of the worst games I've seen from a fullback all season long. I hope he's okay because it was a brutal day at the office.
Go easy on him, bro.
And not just for Lamptey. Everybody was bad. Mitoma couldn't get past a single player. Joao Pedro was playing this weird 9 midfield fullback hybrid role that was being asked of him from Fabian Hürzeler. And Hürzeler himself had a terrible day at the office because in his starting lineup, he only chose 1 central midfielder. That's it. 1 central midfielder. The rest was a mix of wingers and forwards.
That's crazy.
Ridiculous.
Against suffocating Nottingham Forest, knowing how they play. That's what you choose to do, bro.
Exactly.
You're asking to get pounced on.
And it was immediately clear that they were going to have a really bad day because Brighton were just running around, just chasing the ball. And you can't do that against a very, very organized, disciplined Nottingham side, man. But for Chris Wood, dude, my goodness. I love it. A man named Wood popping off at a club called Forest. It's perfect, man. This is what he needed.
About that.
This is what he needed.
That's true, bro.
And he's having the best season of his life at 33 years of age.
That's ridiculous. Nuts. And he's just a vintage striker, too. He's Barclays Premier League, man, the way this guy plays. He would have been great in the 2000s. He's just so classic with it. He's so fundamental. He's not flashy in how he scores his goals, but he's just clinical. He's super technically sound and incredibly smart. I agree. I'm so surprised that the moment finally arrived for him here now in 2025. He was popping off in 2020, man. I thought the best was already behind him, but he's shown with Force and with the right system and with Nuno Espiritu Santo behind him, he is just shining like no other. And you can say that for Gibbs White and Lenga, who just continue their great offensive success this entire season. That front three has just been so good, and I'm glad that the Nottingham Forest team that we've seen this entire season showcase themselves today after what was probably the worst performance that we've seen from them just last week. It's very in line for them to be able to bounce back in this way. And I appreciate that because I didn't want that to be the start of a, a plateau essentially.
Yeah, that's what I was really worried about going into this match. How does Nottingham respond to a terrible loss last week? But I mean, we see how they responded, 7-0. And you're right. Honestly, Nottingham all season long, when they do have a setback, whether it's like a weird draw or you know, a rare loss, they always come back very strong. The mentality of this side is unmatched. It's just as good as Liverpool's. It's just as good as Bournemouth. The difference between them and Liverpool is just quality at this point. So Nottingham, a class display today. And you know what's crazy though? For Brighton, this is their first time all season long that they've lost consecutive games.
Wow.
It seems like they've lost so much more, but it's just because they've drawn a lot and then they'll lose, draw, lose, you know? Yeah. But this is the first time they've had 2 back-to-back losses all season.
Weird times for Brighton, man. Weird times where, did you see the news midweek? Al Nassr, I believe, offered $95 million for Mitoma, and Brighton declined.
They declined.
95, bro. You take that all day for Mitoma, man.
There's got to be something. Mitoma probably begged Brighton to stay in England, right? That's the only thing I could say.
I guess, man. But
right?
I really don't see why.
The club can't reject that.
I don't see how he's valued at that. I even saw reports of, I initially had seen reports of 75, then it went all the way up to 95. I was like, that's ridiculous. It's not like he's 21, 22 putting up crazy numbers. He is 27 years old now. Like, this is prime Mitoma right now, but usually when you pay that much, it's for potential, right? For a prolonged period of time. I could not believe the market value that was put on him by the Saudi league, and ultimately Brighton rejected it. But that was, to me, the biggest headline regarding Brighton this week, because what happened today was just terrible.
So bad for Brighton. And yeah, it's been coming though. Brighton have not been that good for the last month. Honestly, I see a very long end to the season for Brighton and for Herzler specifically, because he's going to have to be the one that organizes this team on a weekly basis. I love his risk taking, but I mean, with the squad he has, I think it's starting to backfire a little bit. I think he just needs to start choosing the exact same 11 every week, get some momentum brewing, and just close this season out, because it might get ugly for Brighton.
Let's keep working our way down the table. We had Newcastle today host Fulham in a game where Newcastle went up 1-0 in the first half. But then we had a second half comeback from Fulham with Raul Jimenez, Mexico's very own, leading the charge, scoring the first goal. Muniz scoring the second one to give them the lead. And Anthony Robinson in this game reaching his double-digit 10th assist of the season.
Yes, sir.
Fulham pulls off what seemed like the improbable after that first half I saw out of them. They pull off the comeback to get 3 points here.
Yeah, that first goal, Robinson first-time pass to Raul Jimenez, first-time shot. Great goal, that USA-Mexico connection. Beautiful to see. But yeah, what a season both of them are having, truly. I mean, Anthony Robinson establishing himself as one of the most offensive fullbacks in England, but he's been there for the last couple seasons. Good to see that continue. And we talked about Jimenez in the fall, but his resurgence to goal scoring is so good to see, and it's going to give Aguirre a great problem to have as to who to start, Jimenez or Santi Jimenez, right? That's going to be really fun. But for Fulham, a great match here, great second half comeback. But for Newcastle, yeah, I mean, I think this just makes sense. You look at Newcastle, this is the type of performances they have. They're great in moments, but they have lapses at the back. I've been very critical of their defense in general, and this just makes sense to me, letting Fulham back into this match.
This is just annoying, though. I feel like it's a mentality aspect that just isn't there for Newcastle. They don't have the consistency to be able to consistently get 3 points every single week. They should have gotten them here. They're hosting a 9th place team while they sit in 5th. They are the better team on paper. Why can't they showcase that? They even went up 1-0, but that second half performance, as I was watching the game, I was so disappointed to see the effort, the want to get 3 points, the fight for it. Fulham ultimately showed more heart in that second half and was able to get the 3 points. So credit to them, because they ended up putting more into the game at the end of the 90 minutes. But for Newcastle, I get worried now going forward. Like, is this just going to keep happening? They win one week, they lose the next, win one week, lose the next. It sucks, because I do see them as having a ceiling of potentially being a Champions League side. But with the results like these, they're gonna be lucky to get European qualification.
Yeah, it's why I want Isak to leave, because Newcastle are so wishy-washy with their form. But actually, you bring up a great point. For Newcastle, I just don't see any depth. There's no depth in this side. If the 11 can't figure it out, then Eddie Howe looks to his bench and he's like, shit, I can't change this. It's up to the 11 to figure it out within that 90 minutes. They get it right a lot of the times, but when they face a feisty team like Fulham, if they can't change it, they're losing. When you look at teams that are above them, like Arsenal, Liverpool, even Man City, they all have players that can impact the game off the bench. Newcastle need to spend a lot of money in the summer.
All right, let's get to the nitty gritty. Let's get to the nitty fucking gritty.
Let's do it, man. Relegation special.
Relegation special here. What was the biggest result out of these 3 games? Everton 4-0 against Leicester.
Yeah.
Wolves 2-0 against Aston Villa. Or Southampton defeating Ipswich away from home 2-1 to get their 3rd win of the season.
I think for me, just on a personal level, you mentioned it a week ago, Everton are safe.
Yeah.
Everton are completely fine. Safe. And because of that, Leicester getting relegated. Leicester getting relegated. This was their chance. Yeah. This was my last chance with Leicester. Go up against Everton. They're right above you in the table. Get the win and try to save yourselves for this season. But they lose 4-0 to them instead. So for me, this marks the end of Leicester's Premier League run. They're getting relegated.
Yeah, they are completely. And I feel great about at one point having predicted Everton to be relegated to them flipping immediately the week after and saying they were safe because this result was very notable. Moyes' magic is real. He is a magician. This is ridiculous what he's doing so far.
Yeah, dude.
This is Moyes' 3rd win out of the last 4 matches in comparison to Sean Dyche, who his last 3 wins came in his last 19 matches. Yeah. So very clear difference in how they were getting results here. I actually criticized the move when I first heard that he was fired because I thought that he had actually brought out the best in Everton, which was a relegation fighting side. But boy, was I wrong, man. This Everton side is actually much better than that. Not like leaps and bounds beyond that, but they're just better than Leicester. They're better than Ipswich. They're better than Southampton. And it showed today, winning 4-0 with goals from Doucouré, 2 from Beto, and a last one from Ndiaye. And I just want to highlight, last week I asked Everton fans to tell me about Beto, and they told me about how they liked him, man. They liked his work rate, his passion on the pitch. Maybe he doesn't have the end product that they would ask out of him, but today, man, he had 2 really good goals that made me happy to see because I feel like he's one of those players that, if you get lucky, if he's just feeling it, if you had a good meal, if you got good sleep the night before, he'll deliver for you well, and he scored 2 really good goals today. Everton wins 4-0. Huge result here. I think they are fully safe, and Leicester looking pretty bleak.
It's looking bleak for them, man. A woeful performance from Leicester. That first goal they conceded in the first 10 seconds.
Yeah,
they didn't even want to play. And that's what that showed me. And Everton immediately scored 3 minutes later. A horrible performance from Leicester. Honestly, just as bad as Brighton.
Yeah,
it's
pretty. Yeah, this was just a complete dismantling where they didn't even look dangerous whatsoever. So great result here for Everton, man. It makes me really happy. I might sound a little bit too joyful here, but it's because these relegation sides, I've invested a lot into them, and I've been let down time and time again. And more specifically, man, I'm looking at Ipswich. Man.
You can't blame them though.
I can't. I can only blame myself.
There we go.
This is the most Ipswich I've ever watched. It's not the 4th game in a row that I've seen,
real though,
the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, we've been going Ipswich heavy.
Yeah, they've lost every game I've watched.
Yeah,
so I'm giving up. I'm out. I'm checking out. They got 17 points somehow, 16 points when I wasn't watching. I'm gonna let them take care of themselves. All right, the only person I can blame here is me, and I'm gonna distance myself from this team because I really went into this game against Southampton thinking that they're hosting a game. Bottom tier league, the worst team in the league, Southampton. There's no way, man. Ipswich has to get a result here. They have to, because if they do, they can get out of the relegation zone. This is where they get those points. Southampton beats them 2-1, man. 2-1 with the 80th minute winner.
I love the passion of Southampton. Been a big Southampton fan all season long, and this is their potential, beating Ipswich, man. And it was always open. This was a true relegation battle because it was tight, honestly, because it was tight for pretty much the entire match, end to end as far as relegation's concerned. And yeah, honestly, Ipswich could have won the game though. They had several half chances. They had a lot of the ball as well. Southampton just played their usual scrappy selves, but this time it finally worked. Finally, it had been 6 straight losses under their new manager, Ivan Juric. On their 7th try, they finally get a victory. But for both of them, it doesn't matter because they're joining Leicester in relegation.
Yeah, I think so. I'll only highlight and criticize for Ipswich Town the goalkeeper, Muric. I thought he could have done better, especially on that first one. Volley bounces. He doesn't really punt it away the way he could. And then the second one, It's a near post shot where he just has to guide the ball out, guides it back towards the center. Where's my boy Walton at? Where's my boy Walton at? That's the goalkeeper I saw the last 3 games for Ipswich Town. Sure, he wasn't the best goalkeeper out there, but what happened to him? I wonder if he would have been better in those moments than Muric, who this was the first time I saw him between the sticks. I thought he had a disappointing performance here, and ultimately Southampton breaks the deadlock, man, and they get 3 points. Massive, but you're ruling them out completely. There's no way, right?
There's no way.
There's way too low.
No. There's
9
no way.
points, it's ridiculous.
Don't get excited, but enjoy the day.
I think so. I think that's what we can do.
Does it bother you at all, because I was thinking about this today, that once again, the 3 promoted sides are going immediately back down? Does it bother you?
A little, yeah.
To me, it bothers me. Like, I'm fine if it happens, once every now and then. Every other year, even.
Every other year, even.
But 2 in a row? Not one team can do it. 6 teams, bro? Like, really? I'm
right.
surprised,
it's all
bro.
3.
It's all three, man. And so I'm just like, damn. Like, at the beginning of the season,
they qualified into? Leicester is. If we rank the relegation teams, Leicester 1, Ipswich 2, Southampton 3. Was that not how they?
It is.
Leicester
Southampton won the playoff final. Leicester won the championship.
That's so funny.
God
bro.
damn it!
That's
man.
So funny.
I don't like it.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough though. It's tough.
It's
It's
tough.
the Prem. It's fucking tough. But yeah, it's not something that you would hope for. You would hope for a promoted team to stay, man.
Imagine if the Premier League was an 18-team league. It'd be nuts. It'd be nuts, bro, because then we would have teams like Everton, Wolves actually getting relegated, right? And then, I mean, you look at Tottenham where they're at right now. There'd be genuine threat, but they're going to be fine. Tottenham are most likely going to be fine. But, dude, imagine how competitive it would be if we just got rid of 2 of the worst teams, because
ridiculous.
Every single year, the bottom 2 never do anything. Like, they're never competitive. If you just snip them off, the Premier League becomes absolutely nuts. It's already crazy. It's already crazy, but if this keeps happening, bro, something has to happen.
I don't think anything will, man.
Oh, and of course not. We're talking about a 100-year-old league.
There's no way.
Nothing's going to change.
No way. So you better just start enjoying it, man.
No, there's nothing to enjoy.
Just appreciate it, man. Appreciate that the historic teams stay in the league, and that's just the way it's kept.
Yeah,
that's the way it is. No one comes in here and messes with any of the foundational system in place. Last game of the day was Wolves hosting Aston Villa. Team that I'm done with, man.
Which one? Which one, man?
Villa fails to get a point out of this matchup as Wolves defeat them 2-0. Goals from Bellegarde, and then a beautiful, beautiful dagger from Mateus Cunha. Cooking Konsa in the process. Wolverhampton Wanderers throwing a party and getting a massive 3 points that puts them right outside the relegation zone at the moment with 19 points, 17th place. What a result here, getting points against a top 10 team in Aston Villa.
Yeah. And this is Wolverhampton in a nutshell. They have multiple personality disorder, bro, because you never know what version of Wolverhampton you're going to get. And this is one of their versions where they show up against a top 10 side, play really good football. They're confident. They're moving the ball around very smoothly, and they get really good goals through their genuine talent up front, specifically Mateus Cunha.
Yeah.
This is the potential of Wolves. The problem is they just don't do it anywhere near on a weekly basis. That's why they're this low in the table. But yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised by this, especially when you consider Villa are also very inconsistent. They're just the mid-table version of that.
In this game specifically, though, did Wolves play good defense, or is Villa's offense that bad?
Hey, you know who would have changed the game for Villa?
Oh shit! I mean, I'm wondering. They played your boy Daniel Malen.
You know who? Who usually comes on in the second half?
They played Ollie Watkins, but they took him off. They put in Leon Bailey. 4 subs at halftime.
4 subs at halftime, but not the guy.
I wonder who it could be. Could it be the guy who grew up idolizing the one and only Al Nasser, man? The dream transfer for the one and only Jean Duran, 21-year-old Colombian. Could it be him, perhaps? That could have done something for this team.
Oh yeah. And you know what's crazy? I guarantee would have scored. He would have scored.
That's his. No, man.
No, it's his bread and butter.
Not so much him. I just don't know if the rest of the team could have supplied him in that situation.
Oh no,
He didn't look good today.
No, John Duran has a goal scoring ratio of scoring every 89 minutes. So he scores a goal a game, which is pretty crazy. And his whole impact has been coming off the bench and getting Villa back into games. Thing is, Villa sold that impact for 80 million.
and you see the results.
You see the result.
You see a dead offense.
Yeah.
And I mean, what a transfer. That's ridiculous that he went for that much and that he's gone out completely. Aston Villa has to do something with that money. I want to see them invest, because what I saw today was, once again, the criticisms I've had regarding Villa and their offense. The wingers, I think, are just not up to the level that's needed to be. And then Ollie Watkins isn't having the season that he was having last year. And now that you don't have John Duran as a reliable backup, you kind of just have to rely on him to be your go-to scorer at this moment. So I thought the fact that he got subbed off said a lot about his current form right now. And then Unai Emery also, I think, has been getting it very, very wrong. Subbing 4 players on at halftime just isn't a good sign of anticipating and preparing well for a match, especially when the team you're preparing for was at the time an 18th place team in the Prem. Something's wrong right now for Villa, and it's why I can't fully buy into their automatic qualification in the Champions League right now. I can't buy into it, man. They're playing like a mid-table team in the Prem at the moment, and I think it's going to continue for the rest of the season.
Yeah, same. That first goal that Wolverhampton scored was completely due to Kamara just getting caught, going to sleep.
He wasn't
and
good.
Kamara, a midfielder, having to play center back due to some injuries, so it's tough for Villa at the back. It just doesn't help them. But you know what's really interesting about this whole transfer, getting Duran to Saudi Arabia for 80 million, what it was, 78, whatever, how much it was, is usually you hope to use money to, get a really good player, right? Mm-hmm. Or to get a superstar, or to get a young player that could grow into a superstar. Duran was already that.
That's true.
He was already that. He's 21 years old, scoring goals at an insanely efficient rate. Who else can do that? Like, if you end up getting a guy that can do that, you're gonna spend 80 million anyway.
Yeah, no.
So I don't understand this transfer at all, unless Villa were heavy in the red. Other than that, I don't understand why they would want that money, considering they already had a young superstar in Duran.
And convincing players to come to Villa too is also a big aspect for up and coming players. That's not a very common thing, I would say.
Yeah.
And it's even more disappointing when you see the rumors of who they're trying to get and who it looks like they're going to get. Marcus Rashford.
Yeah,
like, dude, what are we doing, man?
Right?
What are we doing?
That's what you're using the salary money for, bro. You're going to get an outcast from a shitty United team. That's what you're doing. Just keep Duran.
Keep Duran, man.
I don't understand. I guess they just ran out of Grealish money and they're like, all right, we need to fill our pockets again. But they already had the superstar. They already had the youngster. And they already had the stats to back that he could do it with them. So for me, it's just so disappointing for Duran, though. I need him to score 40 goals this year in Saudi Arabia.
I need him to go off.
I need him to go off.
And I hope that his move to Al Nassr can be the one that lifts him to Asian glory, because they haven't been able to achieve that. So I love the transfer ultimately for young Duran, because he gets out of a situation where he was ultimately a bench player. He gets to just thrive and go off for a full 90 minutes consistently. And Colombia is going to be in the midst of a great striker up top that I think will be just incredible for them for the next 10 years. But for Aston Villa right now, staying in the Prem, terrible result, terrible time, not liking what I'm seeing.
Yeah. And for Wolves, though, I think they're going to be safe. Their team's too good from a talent perspective. The coach has done well. They can't beat anyone in that top 6. I think that's fine if you're Wolves, but this is a good sign that, hey, we can play together, boys. We can get a victory. It got a little tight, but we dug deep and we got the 3 points. Let's rinse and repeat and not get relegated.
Yeah, I think the takeaways today were biggest in regards to relegation.
Yeah.
Everton is safe. That's crazy. They play the same amount of games as Tottenham. Tottenham is actually lower by 2 points now.
Isn't that nuts?
24 points.
That's crazy.
We should be talking. Well, why aren't we talking about them? Wolves is in 17th with 19 players. And I think I'm starting to see the difference between them and the next 3 teams.
Yeah,
I'm starting to see the difference.
Yeah, exactly.
So, the promoted sides are going to get relegated if things continue the way that we've seen so far.